Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract happiness wherever they go, while others keep facing the same problems again and again? Is it just luck, or is there something deeper happening? Imagine planting a tiny seed today. You may not see any change tomorrow, but after some time, that seed grows into a strong tree and begins to bear fruit. Our thoughts, words, and actions work in exactly the same way. Every choice we make is like planting a seed. Sooner or later, we receive the results of those choices. This is the simple yet powerful idea behind karma. Many people believe karma is only about punishment or rewards, but it's much more than that. Karma is a universal principle that teaches us responsibility, kindness, patience, and personal growth. It reminds us that every action creates a reaction, and every decision shapes our future. In this video, you'll discover 12 powerful laws of karma that can help you improve your relationships, make wiser decisions, and live a happier, more meaningful life. Watch until the end, because the final law brings all the others together, and it may completely change the way you see your life. Let's begin with the first law of karma. Law 1, the great law: you reap what you sow. Imagine two neighbors, Amit and Ravi. Every morning, Amit greeted people with a smile. He helped his elderly neighbor carry groceries, thanked the shopkeeper, and treated everyone with kindness. He wasn't perfect, but he always tried to spread positivity. Ravi, however, had a different attitude. He complained about everything. He blamed others for his problems, spoke harshly, and believed the world was unfair to him. Months passed. One day, Amit lost his job. He felt worried, but something unexpected happened. Friends recommended him for new opportunities. Former colleagues called to help. His neighbors encouraged him and supported him during the difficult time. Ravi also faced financial problems. But when he asked for help, very few people came forward. Over the years, he had pushed people away with his negative behavior, and now he was facing the consequences. What made the difference? The answer is the great law of karma. This law teaches us a simple truth. What you give to the world eventually comes back to you. If you plant seeds of kindness, honesty, and respect, you increase the chances of receiving trust, friendship, and support in return. If you constantly spread anger, selfishness, or negativity, those same qualities often find their way back into your life. This doesn't mean every good action is rewarded immediately. Just like a seed takes time to grow into a tree, the results of our actions also need time. Patience is part of the process. Think about your own life. How do you speak to your family? How do you treat strangers? How do you react when things don't go your way? Every word, every action, and every decision is a seed you're planting today. Ask yourself, what kind of harvest do I want tomorrow? That's the power of the first law of karma. Law 2, the law of creation. Have you ever met someone who keeps saying, "I wish my life would get better, I wish I had more success, I wish I were happier"? But years pass, and nothing changes. Why? Let's look at the story of Maya. Maya dreamed of becoming a successful graphic designer. She spent hours scrolling through social media, admiring other people's work. Every day, she imagined how wonderful her life would be if she had a great career. But there was one problem: she never practiced. She bought online courses but never finished them. She made plans but kept postponing them. She waited for the perfect time to begin. One day, she met her old classmate, Priya. A few years earlier, Priya had started with almost no experience. Her first designs were simple, and she made many mistakes. But instead of waiting for perfection, she practiced every single day. She learned from feedback, improved her skills, and slowly built an impressive portfolio. Today, Priya works with international clients and enjoys the career she once dreamed about. Maya looked at her friend and quietly asked, "How did you become so successful?" Priya smiled and replied, "I stopped waiting for opportunities, and started creating them." That moment changed Maya's life. She realized that dreams alone don't change reality, actions do. This is the second law of karma, the law of creation. Your life doesn't change simply because you hope for something better. It changes when you become an active creator of your future. If you want stronger relationships, invest time and care into them. If you want better health, start with small daily habits. If you want success, begin learning, practicing, and improving today. Even one small step each day can completely change your future. Remember this: your future is not built by your wishes. It is built by your daily actions. So ask yourself, what can I create today that my future self will thank me for? That is the true meaning of the second law of karma. Law 3, the law of humility. Have you ever noticed that some people blame everyone except themselves? They blame their boss for their career. They blame their friends for their loneliness. They blame bad luck for every failure. But no matter how much they complain, nothing changes. Let's meet Arjun. Arjun was a talented young employee. He believed he deserved a promotion more than anyone else. Whenever something went wrong, he always had an excuse. "If my manager appreciated me more, I'd succeed. My teammates don't support me. The company is unfair." One afternoon, after another disappointing performance review, Arjun walked into the office cafeteria feeling frustrated. His mentor, Mr. Sharma, noticed his disappointment and invited him to sit down. "What happened?" Mr. Sharma asked. Arjun sighed, "I work hard, but no one recognizes my efforts. Everyone else is the problem." Mr. Sharma smiled gently and placed a small mirror on the table. Arjun looked confused. "What does this mean?" he asked. Mr. Sharma replied, "Before changing the world around you, look at the person in this mirror." Those words stayed in Arjun's mind. That evening, instead of blaming others, he asked himself some honest questions. Do I really communicate well with my team? Do I accept feedback, or do I become defensive? Am I improving my skills every day? For the first time, he stopped making excuses. He started listening more carefully during meetings. He welcomed constructive feedback instead of rejecting it. He admitted his mistakes and learned from them. Week after week, small changes became big improvements. A few months later, something surprising happened. His teammates trusted him more. His manager noticed his growth. And eventually, he earned the promotion he had always wanted, not because the company changed, because he changed. This is the third law of karma, the law of humility. Life begins to improve when we stop blaming others and honestly accept where we need to grow. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's being honest enough to recognize your weaknesses, learn from them, and become a better person. Remember, you cannot change what you refuse to accept. The moment you accept responsibility for your own actions, you take the first step toward real transformation. So ask yourself today, is there something in my life that I've been blaming on others, when I should first look within? That simple question has the power to change your future. Law 4, the law of growth. Imagine two friends, Daniel and Ethan, both started working at the same company on the same day. They had similar skills, similar salaries, and the same opportunities, but after 5 years, their lives looked completely different. Daniel had become a respected team leader. He was confident, calm under pressure, and always eager to learn. Ethan, however, was still in the same position. He often complained that life was unfair and believed other people were simply luckier than him. One evening, Ethan asked Daniel, "How did you become so successful while I'm still stuck?" Daniel smiled and replied, "I stopped trying to change everyone around me, and started changing myself." Ethan looked confused. Daniel continued, "When I received criticism, I didn't get angry. I asked myself what I could learn. When I made mistakes, I didn't hide them. I accepted them and improved. When life became difficult, I didn't quit. I became stronger." Then Daniel picked up a small notebook from his desk. "This notebook has been with me for 5 years," he said. "Every night before sleeping, I write one thing I learned that day and one habit I want to improve tomorrow." Ethan flipped through the pages. Each page contained small improvements. Be more patient, listen before speaking. Wake up 30 minutes earlier, read 10 pages every day. None of the changes were huge, but together, they had completely transformed Daniel's life. That night, Ethan realized something important. He had spent years waiting for his boss to change, his co-workers to change, his family to change, even the economy to change. But he had never focused on changing himself. The next morning, instead of complaining, Ethan made one small promise: "Today, I will become just 1% better than yesterday." He started reading every morning. He learned new skills after work. He exercised regularly. He became more patient with people. Weeks turned into months, months turned into years. Slowly, people noticed a different Ethan. He wasn't lucky, he had simply grown. This is the fourth law of karma, the law of growth. This law teaches us a powerful truth: your life changes when you change. You cannot control everything that happens around you, but you can always control your attitude, your habits, your decisions. And the person you choose to become. Real success isn't about becoming better than someone else, it's about becoming better than the person you were yesterday. So ask yourself, what is one small habit you can improve today that your future self will thank you for? Because every small step you take today becomes the foundation of a better tomorrow. Law 5, the law of responsibility. Have you ever heard someone say, "My life would be better if other people changed"? Maybe you've even thought that yourself. But what if the real power to change your life has been in your hands all along? Let's meet Sarah. Sarah had worked at the same company for 6 years. Every evening, she returned home frustrated. "My manager doesn't appreciate me. My co-workers make my job harder. I never get good opportunities." She repeated these complaints almost every day. One weekend, Sarah visited her grandfather, a wise man who always had a calm smile. He listened quietly as she described all the problems in her life. When she finished, he handed her a glass of clear water and a spoonful of salt. "Put the salt into the glass," he said. Sarah did. "Now drink it." She took one sip and immediately made a face. "It's terrible. The water tastes so salty." Her grandfather smiled. Then he took Sarah to a peaceful lake nearby. He sprinkled another spoonful of salt into the lake. "Now drink the water." Sarah bent down, took a sip, and smiled. "It's fresh." Her grandfather looked at her and said, "The salt didn't change. Only the container changed, he continued. Life will always bring problems, disappointments, and difficult people. But the way you respond to them is your responsibility. Those words stayed with Sarah. The next Monday, she decided to stop blaming everyone around her. Instead of complaining, she improved her communication. Instead of avoiding challenges, she volunteered for new projects. Instead of waiting to be recognized, she focused on doing her best every day. Slowly, something unexpected happened. Her relationships at work improved, her confidence grew. Her manager began trusting her with bigger responsibilities. Eventually, she earned the promotion she had wanted for years. The workplace hadn't magically changed overnight. Sarah had changed, and because she changed, her life changed too. This is the fifth law of karma, the law of responsibility. This law teaches us that our happiness, our growth, and our future are deeply connected to the choices we make every day. We cannot always control what happens to us. But we can always choose how we respond. Blaming others may feel easier for a moment, but taking responsibility gives us the power to create a better future. So ask yourself today, am I waiting for the world to change, or am I willing to take the first step myself? Because the moment you take responsibility for your life, you become the author of your own story. Law 6, the law of focus. Have you ever tried to do too many things at once? You start reading a book, then your phone rings. A few minutes later, you're scrolling through social media. Then you remember unfinished work. At the end of the day, you're exhausted, but somehow, nothing important is actually finished. Sound familiar? Let's look at the story of Ryan. Ryan had big dreams. He wanted to become financially successful, stay healthy, learn a new language, start a business, and write a book. His goals were inspiring, but there was one problem. Every week, he changed his focus. On Monday, he was excited about starting a business. By Wednesday, he decided learning photography was more interesting. The following week, he switched to learning coding. Then he started investing. A few days later, he gave up and looked for another idea. Ryan was always busy, but he wasn't moving forward. One afternoon, he visited an old gardener known for growing the most beautiful trees in the village. Ryan asked, "How do you grow such strong trees?" The gardener smiled and handed him a small watering can. Then he pointed toward 10 young plants. "Water each plant for 5 seconds," he said. Ryan did exactly that. When he finished, the gardener asked, "Do you think any of these plants will grow into strong trees?" Ryan shook his head. "No." The gardener smiled again. "Now choose just one plant." Ryan picked one. "Water this one every day for a year." Ryan immediately understood the lesson. Success doesn't come from spreading your energy everywhere. It comes from giving your best attention to what truly matters. That evening, Ryan made a decision. Instead of chasing 10 different dreams at once, he chose one important goal. Every day, he worked on it. Some days were difficult, some days were slow, but he refused to become distracted. A year later, he looked back and realized how far he had come. The progress wasn't magical, it was the result of consistent focus. This is the 6th law of karma, the law of focus. Your mind is powerful, but it cannot fully concentrate on two opposite directions at the same time. When your attention is scattered, your results become scattered too. When your attention is focused, your progress becomes unstoppable. Ask yourself today, what is the one goal that truly deserves your complete attention? Don't try to water every plant. Choose the one that matters most, and watch it grow. Law 7, the law of patience and reward. Have you ever worked really hard, but felt like nothing was happening? You study every day, but your grades don't improve immediately. You exercise every morning, but you don't see changes in your body. You work on your dream, but success seems far away. At times like these, many people give up. But those who succeed understand one important truth: great things take time. Let me tell you a story. There was a young farmer named Karen. It was his first year growing bamboo. He carefully planted the seeds. Every morning, he watered them, he removed the weeds, he took care of the soil. A month passed. Nothing grew. 3 months passed, still nothing. 6 months later, the ground looked exactly the same. People in the village began to laugh. Why are you wasting your time? Plant something else. Those seeds will never grow. Even his friends advised him to quit. But Karen smiled and continued his routine. Every single morning, he watered the ground with the same faith and determination. Then, during the 5th year, something incredible happened. A small green shoot finally appeared. Within just a few weeks, the bamboo grew more than 80 feet tall. The villagers were shocked. They thought the bamboo had grown in only a few weeks, but Karen knew the truth. The bamboo hadn't grown in a few weeks, it had been growing for 5 years. For years, its roots were spreading deep underground, becoming strong enough to support its incredible height. Without those hidden roots, the bamboo would have fallen over the moment it grew taller. Our lives are often the same. Sometimes it feels like nothing is changing, but every lesson you learn, every skill you practice, every challenge you overcome, is building invisible roots beneath the surface. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean progress isn't happening. This is the 7th law of karma, the law of patience and reward. This law teaches us that meaningful success doesn't happen overnight. Nature doesn't rush. A tree doesn't produce fruit the day after it's planted. A child doesn't learn to walk in one afternoon. Everything worthwhile requires patience, consistency, and trust in the process. So if you're working toward a dream today, don't quit just because the results haven't appeared yet. Keep learning, keep improving, keep believing. One day, people will notice your success. But they won't see the years of quiet effort that made it possible. Remember, your roots are growing, even when no one else can see them. And when the right time comes, your success will rise higher than you ever imagined. Law 8, the law of giving and hospitality. Have you ever noticed that some people leave others feeling happier, calmer, and more respected after every conversation? And have you also met people who leave behind stress, negativity, and discomfort? The difference is not money, it is the energy they give to the world. Let me tell you the story of an old tea shop owner named Mr. Rahman. His shop was small, the chairs were simple. The tea was good, but not extraordinary, yet every evening, the shop was full of people. Students came there after classes, workers stopped by after a long day. Even travelers visited when they passed through the town. One day, a young businessman asked him, "How is your small shop always so busy?" "There are bigger and more modern cafes nearby." Mr. Rahman smiled and poured him a cup of tea. Then he said, "People do not come here only for tea. They come here because they feel welcome." The businessman looked around. Mr. Rahman greeted every customer by name. He listened when someone was worried. He encouraged students before their exams. He offered water to travelers without expecting payment. Sometimes he even gave tea to people who could not afford it. Years later, when Mr. Rahman became ill and had to close the shop for a few weeks, something beautiful happened. The same people he had helped came to support him. Students brought food, neighbors helped clean the shop, former customers collected money for his treatment. The kindness he had given for years returned to him in a difficult moment. This is the 8th law of karma, the law of giving and hospitality. This law teaches us that what we offer to others becomes part of the world we live in. Giving is not only about money. You can give a kind word, your time, your attention, your encouragement, your knowledge, your respect. Sometimes a simple sentence like, "I believe in you," can change someone's entire day. Hospitality means making people feel valued. It means treating others with warmth and dignity. It means creating a space where people feel safe, respected, and accepted. And here's the surprising part: when you give with a sincere heart, you do not become poorer. Often, you become richer in relationships, trust, peace, and happiness. So ask yourself today, what kind of feeling do people carry with them after meeting me? Do they feel judged, or understood? Do they feel ignored, or respected? Because every interaction is a chance to create positive karma, and sometimes, the smallest act of kindness becomes the biggest gift someone receives that day. Law 9, the law of here and now. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, if only I had made a different decision, or maybe, I'll be happy when I get that promotion, I'll enjoy life after I earn more money? Many of us spend our lives trapped between the past and the future, and without realizing it, we forget to live today. Let me tell you about Emma. Emma was a talented photographer. She had always dreamed of traveling the world, capturing beautiful landscapes, and inspiring people through her pictures, but there was one problem. Whenever she was taking photographs, her mind wasn't really there. While visiting a beautiful beach, she worried about next month's bills. While hiking through the mountains, she kept thinking about mistakes she had made years ago. Even during family dinners, she was busy checking emails and planning tomorrow's schedule. One afternoon, Emma met an elderly photographer named Mr. Lewis. He had spent over 40 years traveling around the world with nothing more than an old camera and a backpack. Emma asked him, "How do you always take such incredible photographs?" Mr. Lewis smiled. Instead of answering, he handed her his camera. "Take a picture of that butterfly." Emma quickly lifted the camera, but before she pressed the shutter, the butterfly flew away. She looked disappointed. Mr. Lewis smiled again. "You were thinking about taking the perfect picture. I was simply enjoying the moment." Then he added, "Life is just like photography. If your mind is somewhere else, you'll miss what's right in front of you." Those words changed Emma forever. From that day on, she practiced being fully present. When she talked with her parents, she truly listened. When she traveled, she admired the beauty around her instead of worrying about tomorrow. When she worked, she gave her full attention to each task. Something amazing happened. Her photographs became more meaningful, her relationships became stronger, and for the first time in years, she felt genuine peace. Not because her life had become perfect, but because she had learned to live in the present. This is the 9th law of karma, the law of here and now. This law teaches us that we cannot change yesterday, and we cannot fully control tomorrow, but we can always choose how we live today. Every smile, every conversation, every sunrise, every opportunity, exists only in the present moment. If your mind is always looking backward or racing ahead, you may miss the greatest moments of your life. So today, ask yourself, am I truly living this moment, or am I only thinking about the next one? Because happiness is not waiting somewhere in the future, it begins the moment you become fully present. Law 10, the law of change. Have you ever wondered, why does the same problem keep appearing in your life? Maybe it's the same kind of argument, the same mistake, the same disappointment. Different people, different places, but somehow, the same outcome. Is it just bad luck, or is life trying to teach us something? Let me tell you a story. There was a young man named Noah. No matter where he worked, he always had conflicts with his manager. At his first job, he quit because he thought his boss was unfair. At his second job, he blamed his manager for not appreciating him. At his third job, the exact same thing happened. One evening, Noah met his former school teacher at a park. The teacher listened carefully to Noah's complaints. Then he asked a simple question: "How many jobs have you changed?" "3," Noah replied. "And how many times has the same problem happened?" Noah paused. "3 times." The teacher smiled gently. Then he picked up a small notebook and drew a circle. Inside the circle, he wrote one word: "You." He looked at Noah and said, "Sometimes life repeats the same lesson until we finally learn it." Those words stayed in Noah's mind. That night, instead of blaming his managers, he began asking himself honest questions. Do I really listen to feedback? Do I become defensive when someone corrects me? Am I communicating clearly? The answers weren't easy, but they were honest. For the first time, Noah decided to change himself instead of changing his job. He started listening more. He became patient. He accepted criticism without arguing. He learned to communicate with respect. Months later, something amazing happened. His relationship with his new manager was completely different, not because the manager was perfect, but because Noah had changed. This is the 10th law of karma, the law of change. Life has a way of repeating lessons until we learn them. The same challenges may return, the same mistakes may happen, the same situations may appear again and again. Not to punish us, but to help us grow. When we finally learn the lesson, life opens the door to the next chapter. So if you notice the same problem repeating in your life, don't ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" Instead ask, "What is this situation trying to teach me?" Because every repeated challenge is an opportunity to become wiser, stronger, and better than before. Law 11, the law of significance and inspiration. Have you ever thought, "I'm just one person. What difference can I really make?" Many people believe that only rich, famous, or powerful people can change the world. But history tells a different story. Sometimes, one small act of kindness, one encouraging word, or one brave decision, can change someone's life forever. Let me tell you about a young school teacher named Ananya. She had recently started teaching at a small village school. The classrooms were old. There weren't many books. The students came from poor families. One boy, named Rohan, rarely spoke. He always sat at the back of the class, avoided eye contact, and believed he wasn't smart enough to succeed. Many teachers had already given up on him, but Ananya saw something different. One afternoon, after class, she sat beside him and said, "Rohan, I believe you can do much more than you think." Rohan looked surprised. No one had ever said those words to him before. From that day on, Ananya spent a little extra time helping him. She encouraged him whenever he made progress. She celebrated even his smallest achievements. Months passed. Slowly, Rohan became more confident. He started asking questions in class. His grades improved. Most importantly, he began believing in himself. Years later, Ananya received an unexpected letter. It was from Rohan. He had become a doctor. In the letter, he wrote, "Many people taught me subjects, but you taught me to believe in myself. Your words changed the direction of my life." As Ananya finished reading, tears filled her eyes. She realized something beautiful. She had never planned to change someone's future. She had simply chosen kindness, and that kindness had created a ripple that continued for years. This is the 11th law of karma, the law of significance and inspiration. Every action you take matters, every smile you share, every word of encouragement, every act of honesty, every helping hand, has the power to inspire someone in ways you may never see. you don't have to change the entire world, if you can change one person's day. One person's confidence, or one person's hope, you've already made a meaningful difference. Never underestimate the impact of small actions, because today's small act of kindness may become tomorrow's life-changing memory for someone else. So ask yourself, whose life can I positively influence today? Sometimes, the greatest legacy isn't what we achieve, it's the positive impact we leave behind. Law 12, the law of cause and effect, the great circle of karma. Imagine standing beside a calm lake. You gently throw a small stone into the water. At first, you only notice the tiny splash, but then, small circles begin spreading across the entire lake. Then another, until the whole surface of the water is moving. Our lives work in exactly the same way. Every thought, every word, every decision, every act of kindness, or every moment of anger, creates a ripple. Sometimes we see the results immediately. Sometimes those ripples travel for days, months, or even years before returning to us. Let me tell you one final story. There was an elderly man named David. Every evening after work, he walked through the same neighborhood. One rainy afternoon, he noticed a young boy standing outside a grocery store. The boy looked cold, hungry, and frightened. Without asking for anything in return, David bought him a warm meal and quietly said, "Take care of yourself. One day, help someone else when you have the chance." The boy smiled and thanked him. Years passed. David grew older. One day, while driving home, he was involved in a serious accident. He was rushed to the nearest hospital. After several hours, a skilled surgeon successfully completed the operation that saved his life. When David finally opened his eyes, the doctor came into his room. The doctor smiled warmly and said, "Mr. David, I'm not sure if you remember me." David looked confused. The doctor continued, "Many years ago, on a rainy day, you bought a meal for a hungry little boy outside a grocery store." David's eyes filled with tears. The doctor smiled again. "That little boy was me. I never forgot your kindness. You expected nothing in return. But your kindness changed my life. I studied hard, became a doctor, and today I had the privilege of saving yours." David realized something beautiful. One small act of kindness, one ordinary day, had traveled in a circle and returned to him in the most unexpected way. This is the 12th law of karma. Every cause creates an effect, every action creates another action. Nothing we do is ever truly meaningless, whether it's kindness, honesty, patience, forgiveness, or generosity. The energy we send into the world has a way of finding its path back to us. That doesn't mean life is always easy. It doesn't mean every good deed receives an immediate reward, but it reminds us that every choice shapes the person we become and the world we help create. So before you speak, before you react, before you make your next decision, ask yourself one simple question: what kind of ripple am I creating today? Because your smallest action may become someone else's greatest hope, and your kindness today may return to you in ways you never imagined. The 12 laws of karma aren't just ideas to remember, they're principles to live by. Start with one small change today. Speak kindly. Help someone without expecting anything in return. Take responsibility for your actions. Be patient with your journey. Stay present, and never stop growing. You may not change the entire world overnight, but you can change your world, one decision at a time. If this story inspired you, take a moment to share in the comments which law touched your heart the most, and why. I'd love to read your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video and want more inspiring stories that help you improve your English while learning valuable life lessons, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Thank you for watching, Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep spreading kindness.